Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keelan Martin. I am a senior major in criminal justice here at LeMoyne-Owen College, and I'm also Mr. Senior for 2021-2022 academic school year. And welcome to From Class to Careers panel discussion. Today, we are here to introduce some wonderful men and women who are part of certain organizations and corporations who are here to give some insight and some advice and also to talk about their experience here at LeMoyne-Owen College. First, we will start out with a good man here, Mr. John Coors. John Coors earns a bachelor's of business administration with a concentration in accounting from LeMoyne-Owen College. He has been a licensed affiliate of real estate broker since January 2008. He held a license in Tennessee and Mississippi and is a multi-million dollar club member of both states. He strongly believes community involvement has a exhibit this through his fraternity of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. The Memphis City Schools Connect member mentoring program and by annually volunteering for the National Civil Rights Museum in the Diggs Crisis of Sickle Cell Walk. Next, we will introduce this wonderful lady here, Miss Melody Martin. Miss Melody Martin started her academic journey at LOC in 1997, but withdrew to pursue a career in the U.S. Postal Service. She returned as an ADCAP student, successfully graduating cum laude from LeMoyne-Owen College at the age of 33 with a degree in a business administration in 2013. She was voted as Rookie of the Year in real estate in 2005, is a member of the Multi-Million Dollar Club, and is a criminal justice reform advocate to help end mass incarcerations among African Americans. Next, I would like to introduce a good brother here, Mr. Tracy Miller. Tracy Miller joined the Canadian Pacific Railway in March 2019 as Vice President of Corporate Risk USA. He was appointed Senior Vice President of Operations in the Southern and Eastern region in September 2019. In this role, Tracy is responsible of overseeing all U.S. and Eastern Canadian operations in Canadian Pacific Network while building on their industry leading precision schedule railroading principles. Tracy ensures CPR maintains its commitment as to deliver for customers while executing the company's mandate for sustainable, profitable growth. Tracy is a proud 1994 graduate of LeMoyne-Owen College, where he earned a Bachelor's of Science in Mathematics, and as of this year, as a dedicated alumni, and became a trustee on the LeMoyne-Owen College Board of Trustees. He pledged the Beta Xi chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, seated at LOC, and is a in spring 1990, and has since become a life member of Alpha Phi Alpha. He is currently resides in Minneapolis, married to Sharon for 20 years, and they have two daughters. Kaya is a senior, and Ivy is a 10th grader. He grew up in South Memphis, and of 9 kids. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Veto Patterson. Veto Patterson is a multi-face entrepreneur and business executive. She is the founding executive director of Care Angels, a nonprofit empowerment organization. Veto received her bachelor's of business administration, BA degree, on May 8, 2021, with a concentration in management from LeMoyne-Owen College. Ms. Patterson is also a former ambassador with the Mary Kay charitable charitable foundation. She continues to sow seed in her community as a living legacy with the Coors Angels Incorporated. Through numerous um, mentees, some of these mentees are Prayer in the Park, Brown Bag Ministries, celebrating cancer's domestic violence survivors, as well as honoring caregivers who are so much of themselves, of their loved ones. Bethel is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She has one daughter and currently resides in Memphis, Tennessee. Next, we would like to introduce Miss Bianca Williams. Miss Bianca Williams was born and resides in Memphis, Tennessee. She is a proud graduate of LeMoyne-Owen College, where she received her Bachelor's of Art degree in Social Science. After graduating, Bianca joined St. Jude Research Hospital, ALSAC. In her role as a university engagement team supervisor, Bianca assists with providing interns with the soft skills such as communication, time management, accountability, customer service, problem solving. She is also responsible for supervising, planning, coaching, developing, and maintaining functions concerning to the enterprise contact center. Bianca um, demonstrates her love for the community service by mentoring high school students with the Tennessee Archive Management Program membership with a national constellation of 100 Black women, outreach volunteer opportunities at St. Paul Baptist Church, where she has been a member for over 14 years. With her organization, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Bianca is the founder of Bianca Beauty Studio and is committed to offering an extraordinary beauty experience job. Job opportunities for offspring makeup artists and empowers women for all walks of life. These are our panelists. Next, I would like to have the panelists to introduce themselves in a way where they can let the college students know who they are. So, if I could we start with Brother John Combs?
Hello, hello. Well, they say home is where the heart is, and I love LeMoyne-Owen College, so it's good to be home. I love what they've done to this little theater. I've spent many of hours in here, and it looks really great. And I'm honored to be on the stage with all of these distinguished people who come from different backgrounds, but we all have a tie to LeMoyne-Owen College. Um, as a student here, I really learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about people, and it really sowed a solid foundation into what I'm doing now. Currently, I am a commercial real estate agent, and I'm also the CFO for the firm. So, my accounting degree really helped where it put me in a place to where I am right now. Um, and LeMoyne-On is about community service. My first taste, I believe, of public community service was through LeMoyne-On College. Brother George Patterson introduced me to the NAACP, and I really got to see what was needed in the community. So that's helped fuel what I'm doing now. Being a board president of Fraser CDC, it's the Community Development Corporation, board member of Freedom Prep Charter School, which is one of your leading regional black-led charter schools in the United States, and among a few other things. So, LeMoyne-Owen really helped me find myself, helped me find lifelong friends, lifelong associates, um, and I'm just glad to be back here.
Good morning. Good morning to all of my scholars and to the panelists as well this morning. This is a beautiful morning. I am super excited about being here. My name is Bianca Patterson. As I said before, good morning to my scholars. Good morning to my accountants. Good morning to all of my beautiful people. And I didn't say future. This is now, who you are now. Uh, Financial investors, presidents of banks. That's who you are now. So understanding who you are now will propel you to what you want to become. I am a class of 2021 spring graduate of the LeMoyne-Owen College. My major was business with a concentration in management. So being here on the campus, understanding who I was, but this was my second time around, coming in 1981 and coming back again in 2017 to complete what I started in 2000, what I started in 1981. So it's never too late, but I challenge you all as scholars to continue to finish the course. Don't stop. Continue and finish the course. Here, being here at LeMoyne-Owen, it taught me about who I was from the beginning, going into my career, what I decided to do as the founder of Pure Angel nonprofit organization, working within the community. We have to always remember that we got to serve first before we become successful. So we got to serve each other and understand that. Take the nuggets that you receive from LeMoyne on, help them to empower you as I empower women within the community working with domestic violence and cancer survivors. It's very important that we give back and we have to understand who we are and while you're here at LeMoyne on, they're going to prepare you for what you're going to become, your career. You have to decide yourself. You have to understand your assignment. So on that way, I learned who I was, what I wanted to do, and then I decided when I was going to do that here as well. So the professors here helped me to understand that, helped me to understand that I wanted to be within nonprofit, empowering women, educating them to understand about inner beauty as they propel back into the society, being self-sufficient. So thank you all again today for having me here. And as I move forward within my career, and you all understanding what your career is from classroom to career. Thank you.
Thank you. You may not believe this, but I'm actually nervous. And I say that because I think about professionally, and maybe they'll attest to when I say this. We talk to people all the time in our professional world, and it talk about whatever we talk about. To John's point, this is coming back home. Most of what I became as a young man, I guess older man now, as a man, as my learnings, the things that I use today, those things were developed when I was here at LeMoyne. John said lifelong friends. There's people that went to LeMoyne with me during that time frame that I talk to now, and I depend on them. Uh, so I'm nervous because I get an opportunity to come home and show what I learned and show what impact this place made on me. And it makes me nervous because I want to make LeMoyne proud of what they gave me and what they instilled in me.
I love that so much. I love it so much. I feel the exact same way. My name is Bianca Williams again, and I started here at LeMoyne-Owen 2012. And the experience is like no other. I cannot repay the people that invested in a college student, first generation college graduate. Invested, provided so many opportunities. I cannot even start to explain from traveling to St. Louis University and different colleges on leadership conferences. They gave me the confidence to apply for different jobs and to walk in different rooms as a proud Black woman. So I'm super excited about this opportunity, and I hope you all learn and take some of the advice that we have to give. And thank you all so much for having me.
Good morning. My name is Melody Martin, and I am the aunt of Helen Martin. I started my journey at LeMoyne-Owen College in 1997, and as he said, I left school to go and work for the U.S. Postal Service. But he left off the part of I was a teen mom. So I left college to be able to take care of my daughter. Through life, I was like, well, I was missing something. So I decided to come back to school because I wanted to set the tone for Keelan and for my daughter and for my son. I wanted to show them what was expected, to raise that bar, to let them know they needed higher education. So I did that. I was an adult student. At times it got hard because they were calling me ma'am, but I kept going and I persevered. I did graduate with honors, and Keelan came to my alma mater after me because he was proud of his aunt. Um, I learned so much when I came back as an adult student. It afforded me the opportunity to advance my career and to actually make relationships with people that I went to school with back in 1997 and throughout the community. So I want you all to listen and know that as African Americans, we are doing great things, and you all are going to do great things too. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. We have a couple questions. I'm gonna go um, out of order. I'm not gonna call in order. I'm just gonna ask a couple people certain questions, and hopefully y'all can chime in. So I'm gonna start with Brother Tracy Miller. Um, what advice do you have for someone still trying to figure out what they want to do in life?
First off, now I know who to call when somebody needs to get him. You know, uh, don't get discouraged. I think about when my time came. I had a couple interviews with a couple companies, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. Originally, let me go back a little bit. I went to Hamilton, and when I graduated, I was not one of those in the mix students. So I didn't engage myself with the guidance counselors. I was totally ignorant to college, and I actually came to college on a dare. This guy in the neighborhood, I don't want to get off the story, but he actually dared me, and later on, he told me that I didn't belong in the streets with the rest of them. That's why he challenged me because my ego was so big. So I came to LeMoyne, and I didn't understand the finance and all that to get into college, and I wanted to be an electrical engineer. I was going to go to Christian Brothers. That didn't work out because Christian Brothers tuition was this, and LeMoyne was like $690 or 1290, whatever it was. So I had to totally change how I was thinking. And so I'd say don't get discouraged. And most of us know Clarence Christian. Clarence taught me the most invaluable lesson ever about fear. I'm going to be a little transparent. I pledged Alpha, and he wanted me to run. And Kevin Black, I don't know if I've ever told you this story. He wanted me to run for, I think it was district director. And there was always a college brother who did this. And I ignored Clarence until the deadline was over because I was scared to death to do it. And Clarence, being who he is, and the man who has probably impacted more people than you can put your finger on, caught me one day. And not once did he chastise me. He explained to me how, as a young black man, to use fear as a motivator. And he talked through some very specific things on how not to get discouraged, what to do with fear, how to channel it so that it's to your benefit. And you know how he is, young man. Fear, the thing about it, nobody knows you're afraid but you. So figure out how to channel that in a positive way, and then you'll reach your acclamation. And to this day, at 52 years old, I still live by that every day of my life. So God, I'm gonna tell you, I've had some experiences that I never thought that I would experience as a black man in the railroad industry. And thank God for Clarence, and thank God for those lessons. I can sit here and say that I feel like I'm on top.
Would anybody else like to chime in on that?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to add, don't be afraid to try different things. You know, the experience of college, as a college student, you see so many different avenues, and I know you're trying to figure it out. Don't be afraid to try all of them. Become multifaceted. Uh, it may lead to 7 or 8 streams of income. It may just lead to a hobby that you love that that helps you add value to your life. Uh, while you're trying to figure it out, just go for it. I know there are a few things that I wish I would have done back in the day that I thought about doing, but uh, yeah, just go for it. Just be diverse in your thinking. Don't be afraid to try different things and be open to new experiences. So one of those new experiences may lead you to where ultimately you find your purpose and your passion. So if you see different things that you might want to try, don't be afraid to go for it. That's one of my advice.
I would like to add network. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions because you never know what you don't know. And if you don't ask, you'll never know. Um, so don't be afraid to talk to your advisors and talk to people that you run into in the middle of the grocery store because you'll never know what they'll share with you. And it may trigger something that'll make, okay, let me try that to follow up what John said. Don't be afraid to try and don't be afraid to fail um, because that's life. And if you're not failing, you're not trying. And what is, yeah, so that's what I have.
I'll add one more thing. Be a reflection of what you want people to see in you. I think about I lived in Memphis from 16 to 19, and I went to New Orleans, and I'm driving back, and I stopped in Hammond, and there was a little place I like to stop and get char grilled oysters. And I'm talking to this young guy who's 21ish, and he's cooking, just great attitude, great everything. He's talking to me, and I said, "So, what do you do?" He said, "Well, I work 3 jobs. I'm trying to do this, trying to do that. It's a little tough, but I'm good." Just very positive. We sat there and we had a conversation about the railroad. Uh, 2 months later, that guy was working for the railroad as a manager at the railroad. He had one job now, and he was doing very well. And that happened only because of the way he carried himself. The fact that he took time to talk to someone, he was positive, and you could tell that his work ethics were there. You could tell that he was a person who was actually looking for a break. So be cognizant. Everybody that lays eyes on you can be an individual that impacts your life. Carry yourself in a way that you want that person looking at you to define.
Thank you. Thank you. This question goes to Miss Martin. How important is it to have a mentor in your career journey?
It's very important to have a mentor. I have two mentors right now at my age. It's the way I look at it is if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to get into another room. Don't be afraid to ask questions because you always want to continue growing, continue to educate yourself. And you just can't be afraid of that. And if a person is willing to mentor you, receive it. Call them, ask them questions. If you're looking, well, one thing I do, if you're on social media, because a lot of the young people are on social media, find some of those motivating people on social media. They can be a mentor to you from afar, but it's very, very important to have a mentor.
Chime in.
I want to piggyback on what she said as well, what Mark said as well about a mentor. It's very important to have a mentor because you can be a mentor yourself and not even know it. You could be mentoring someone at a far. So always carry yourself, be positive as well, because you want to reach out to those people to in the careers that where they are, because that's where you're trying to get. So a mentor is very important. Those are people that's going to help guide you through your career. They're people that's going to help you guide you through life by itself. So just wanted to piggyback on what she said as well. It is very important to have a mentor and also be a mentor to others as well as you are growing.
I tell you about mine. 1984, I started with the railroad. There was a gentleman, and I'll call his name. He actually graduated from LeMoyne. I don't remember the year. I think it's early 70s, but he worked for the railroad. Uh, he's one of those gentlemen who never got his due per se at the railroad, and he hired me. He was in HR at the time when I came aboard. A gentleman named Ronald Esther. This man he retired in 2007 or 8ish or something like that. And to this day, we still talk. He knows about everything that has happened to me strategically in my professional career as well as my personal career. I mean, my personal life. I can remember vividly the first time when I really realized that he was a mentor. I moved to Michigan, and I was in an environment that was not that great. The railroad had just purchased this other small railroad, and you were an outcast being there. And I got overly frustrated. And one Sunday night, I called him. He was in Chicago, and I explained to him what was going on. And I said, Ron, that's it. I can't take any more. I'm going to quit. And he told me, if you quit, they win. He said, I'll be over there tomorrow. He flew to Detroit first thing that morning, picked me up. We went to lunch that day, and we talked about strategically how he's going to help me understand how to overcome these things. And this is 2021, and I still talk to this guy about my struggles or adversity moments and everything that goes on in my life. He has been heaven sent to me as a mentor. And even to that point, now he has that same relationship with my 17 and 15-year-old daughters, where he's very close to them. So a mentor is priceless. And as you grow and learn and life changes for you, I consider it honest to say that my wife is also a mentor because she has helped me realize things that through modesty or whatever I never would have realized about myself. So there's people from all facets. These brothers that I run around with, I can't tell you how often we call each other and ask for advice or get advice when you don't ask for it, just because you know that's what it's all about.
Yes, yes. This next question is for Miss Williams. What was the first career move you made after you graduated?
I would have to say the first career move was honestly becoming a mentor for Tennessee Achieve. Um, that's where I found my love for coaching and mentoring high schoolers that are trying to go off to college. Some with a really, really large family support, and some, like myself, first time college, not graduates, but college pursuers. And then after that, landed my job with St. Jude Alsac, where I have learned so much about mentoring. And what, if you don't know, Keelan is also, I was his supervisor. So being able to give back to people that sat in the same seat that I did. Um, so that was the beginning of my career. Started that journey with leadership, mentoring, and coaching. So
Okay. Anybody else would like to chime in? What was their first career move after they graduated?
My first job after graduation, I was a manager at Walgreens. Walgreens had a program with a connection with LeMoyne-Owen College that came on campus and recruited people for their management program, interviewed you. I didn't know much about the retail business. Of course, I knew about Walgreens, but not knowing the details of the retail business. So I decided, yeah, this sounds like a good thing. I can use different skills, people skills, being a manager and balancing books, learn accounting from Leo Coldham and all those other teachers here. So I thought, right now, this sounds like a good thing. So I went to Walgreens, located at Winchester and Kirby Parkway, and hated it. It was retail. So now I know why people say beware of retail. So, um, uh, although I didn't like it, of course, you have to be dedicated to your job. I decided to, stay there for a couple of years and then move on into my field of accounting. My first accounting job was with the Peabody Hotel Group, the Bells Company. They own maybe a third of Memphis, and that's where I really learned business. On their tax return, they had over 100 partnerships, and I really learned how business moves. Um, so I worked in accounting for maybe 10, 15 years in different industries, and I took that knowledge of business and accounting to what I do now in commercial real estate and also being the CFO of the company. Um, the experience is invaluable. Don't be afraid to go to different industries to learn different pieces of it, and then just put it all together and be a better person wherever you land.
My first one was with the railroad. It was a little different. I grew up in not a little different. But I grew up in a family of 9 kids, and most of us from Memphis know that most of us from Memphis don't leave Memphis, right? And nobody in my family ever left Memphis. And I remember graduating, and I remember going. We went to Chicago for our convention, and of course, none of us went to any of the convention things. We were having fun in Chicago, but I went to the office downtown, and the gentleman introduced me to everybody as new management trainee. Now, he and I have not had a conversation yet about me taking the job. So we leave, it's lunchtime, and he walks me to uh, Michigan Avenue where the Chicago River is, and he pulls out an envelope and gives me a piece of paper. I open the paper up and I read it, and it's started me out as a management trainee for $27,500 in 1994. Now, to bring that in context, my father, the most I ever saw on his W 2 at that time was $29,000. So I'm going to graduate from school, make 27.5. My dad raised 9 kids at 29,000. Yeah, I'm taking this job. So you fast forward and you think about it. I had a 78 Ford Granada that I drove. So I had to go buy a car because there was no way that car was going to Chicago. I borrowed $500 from my dad. To this day, I don't know how he came up with $500, but that helped me buy a Mazda 626. I drove to Chicago. I checked into this hotel that they told me to check into, and you can imagine, 200 square foot hotel. Here's the bed, and here's the television. And I used to have this crush on this news anchor in Chicago named Allison Payne, of course, from Joliet. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Allison Payne. I'm thinking, man, I'm in Chicago now. Man, I'm in Chicago now. And it hit me. I decided to move. And I'm going to be a little transparent. I put my head down in my hands and I bawled like a baby for 10 minutes out of fear. What am I going to do now? I got $40 in my pocket and $30 in the bank. And I don't get paid for 2 or 3 weeks. I picked my head up and I said, well, guess what? I'm here now. I never ate so much potted meat in my life, for the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. And the funny thing is, I would go to work in the morning time and hang with all the people I knew that went to lunch. So they go to a restaurant, they buy lunch, and I'd eat with them, and they teach me stuff. And then at night, I'd go back out there with the night crew, knowing that they were going to go to lunch. So that's how I survived until I actually got paid and started making money and started saving money. And that was a fearful time, but I couldn't quit. I couldn't stop because in what we have to learn as black folk, I hate to say when they give us a job, but when we finally get something, if we quit, it's not Bianca didn't work out. It's we gave them a chance, we can move on now. So as much as you want to call it pressure or stress, you carry the burden of all of us and the future of all of us on your back as black folk.
Yeah. Next question. This is for everyone. Starting with Miss Patterson. If you could go back in time and give advice to your younger self, what would you tell your younger self?
If I could go back in time and give my younger self advice, it would be to listen, to listen, pay attention to what other people are saying, what they're doing. Concentrate on who you are and not on what others are doing. Be persistent in what you want to do. Then at that time, be persistent in what you want to become. Make a change. Be a different. There's so much I could say about what could I have done different, but having the opportunity to continue on and be great and be better. So just listening to myself more at that time, researching who I was at that time so I would know what to do, what career I wanted to be in. So it would be listening and to do more research about who I am to be a better to become a better person for the future as I am now.
One of my favorite songs is it has a line that says, "Regrets I have a few, but then again, few too few to mention." Frank Sinatra. I don't have a lot of regrets. So I'm in real estate, so the only regrets that I have are I should have bought that property 5 years ago. So take advantage of every opportunity that you may think of. Stocks, real estate, learning a trade. Developing yourself. If you have an inclination in your gut or that feeling, do it. Don't be afraid to listen to yourself. And that's my only thing.
I would say two things. Number one, although it has a place, get rid of my pride, my ego. You know, not saying that it didn't allow me to accomplish something, but it made it so much more difficult to get there. Pride and ego would damage and impact a lot of us in a negative way. My younger nephew, who's 40-ish, I guess now, uh, he taught me the difference in pride and ego versus being resourceful. He's very resourceful. I had pride and ego. Number one. Number two, if you make $10, learn how to put one or two of those dollars up. We don't need the money that we think we need, not at this stage of our life. If I could go back to 20, 21 years old, I don't know that I would get a financial advisor at that time, but I would figure out how to put up a certain percentage of every penny that I get so that 10, 15 years from now, I'm working because I want to, not because I need to. And not only that, I can afford to do the things in life that pleases me without impacting the things that I need.
So, what would I tell my younger self? Okay, so I'm gonna tell a story, very transparent. So, I want to say maybe 3 months ago, I collected or found all of my photo IDs from college, driver license, all of them. I mean, from the time I started driving, which was 18. So imagine that. I looked out and I placed them all on the bed. And I literally saw myself not smiling in those younger 18, 19 years, 20, into smiling, and I just started weeping because I was looking at my younger self like, oh my God, I was not patient with her. I did some things that were very self-sabotaging. Just looking back, I would be I will honestly give myself more grace to make mistakes. I would listen to people because you could not tell me anything. I was grown, okay? You could not tell me anything, like nothing. So I would listen. I would listen to my parents more. I would listen to these advisors, friends. I would listen and walk in the room as if I don't know anything instead of I know everything. Um, so that's what I'll tell my younger self and save my money, of course. They said that already.
Hello. I would tell my younger self to slow down, to enjoy the journey. I had my daughter when I was 13 years old, so I had to grow up much faster than most of my classmates and people around. And I failed to mention I'm from North Memphis, Tennessee. So my environment, that's what was in my environment. I was hanging with older girls and wanting to do what they were doing. So I would tell myself, slow down, enjoy the journey, right where I am, right where God has me right then. But instead, I was wanting to do this, want to move fast, wanted to have this. And that's a part of the generation we have now. My big mama used to call us the microwave generation because we want things so fast. But if you put it in the oven and you let all those seasonings just kind of bake in, it tastes so much better. So I would honestly say just enjoy life, your life, not somebody else's life. The Bible says comparison is the thief of all joy. So enjoy your life. Slow down and just enjoy the experiences. I promise you, if you celebrate your small wins, which I have learned to do as I am aging, it's worth it. I promise you, it's worth
That's a great question. This is for Tracy Miller. What is your biggest motivation every day to help you strive and come up with new ideas in your organization?
I'll jokingly say I'm probably going to retire in 5 years, so it's creating a return on investment with stock price going up. That's part of it, truthfully, but it's number one, being an example for my daughters. I got 17 and 15-year-old daughters who it hurts me to say 17 years about to go to college this time next year. But it's you know I'm a product of my mom and my oldest brother, both of which are not here anymore. And I learned from both that if you spend 5 minutes with somebody, both you and that individual should walk away a better person. You should walk away knowing something, learning something, growing. My motivation, when I think about, I'm in a new organization, 2.5 years or so in this organization, a lot of young leaders. Um, my motivation is make people better and make me better and leave a legacy of helping people to reach their potential and understand what their potential is. Just like, I go back to that lesson from Clarence Christian. I think about, I've got a group of friends in Minneapolis that we all met through our kids going to the same school. And, some of those guys went to Morehouse, Rutgers, University of this and that. And I sit and I talk about, the relationships at LeMoyne that I built and how the individuals I'm close to help mold me to be the person I am. And we actually talk about, legacies and so the motivation just to make people better, to make myself better and continue to help people grow and understand their potential and reach their
Okay, okay, I like it. I like it. That's good. That's a good answer. Okay, this is for everyone on the panelists. How did LeMoyne-Owen College prepare you for your career? Anybody can start.
I was just sharing the other day with one of the interns how she was debating on whether she should come to whether she would come to LeMoyne-Owen or go to another PWI. And I talk to my friends all the time that graduated from PWIs, and they have the biggest regret on not being able to, I guess, get that rich knowledge from an HBCU. For me, my HBCU made me so confident to walk in rooms where I was not represented, gave me all the knowledge I needed, all the confidence. I mean, just everything. It just made me proud to be a Black woman. So if they did not do anything else for me, it gave me a foundation for who I am and whose I am when I'm in companies that are predominantly white. So
LeMoyne-Owen gave me the foundation to continue with what I had started in 1981. Coming back, having the foundation, meeting Dr. Golden at the door when I came in, with her encouraging me, telling me that you can do this. Continue on. It doesn't matter that you are returning back to school, but you can do it. What you have set out to do, your plans, your goal, do it, and continue on. So LeMoyne-Owen helped me continue on with what I had started in 1981. So that was the completion of 2021, but it was also a new beginning to start and move forward and also help others move forward as I grow more within our community. Because we have to take others with us. When we go through the door, we have to take others. It's not just about us, it's about you, and everybody at this table. So thank you, LeMoyne-Owen, for giving me a great start, first time and the second time as well.
So I'll go back some. I was born in Binghamton half my life and raised in Fraser half my life. I have an older sister and a younger sister. So I'm the only child, only son and middle child. And on my grandfather's side, yeah, Kevin may know, I'm the only grandson. I have 13 female cousins. Um, so one, um, joining the fraternity, LeMoyne-Owen gave me some lifelong brothers. Two, in high school, I was sort of reserved, and coming to LeMoyne-Owen, it really helped bring out who I was and my personality, and being able to socialize and talk to people, and really just enjoy life more. And of course, like I said, now I'm in real estate, and Melanie will attest, real estate is a relationship business. Um, so I've helped you know develop relationships that really help gain gain business. I've acquired accounts. The city of Memphis is one of my real estate clients, and that was developed through just knowing how to talk to people and knowing how to approach them, and develop their relationship. Uh, Another thing that LeMoyne-Owen taught me uh, was just diversity of education and people. Back when in the '90s, LeMoyne-Owen to me was just like school days. You had your groups over here, and a different world. Right. You had your groups over here who were activists, and you had your group over here who were the jocks and the cool guys, and dressing up on campus all the time. It was just so surreal. I took it all in and absorbed every piece of it, and just wanted to you know be better because of it. So um, it gave me a lot. So I would say to you all, absorb everything, uh, make it your own, and then make it better.
I almost wonder what did Lemoyne not give me? Because I think about John, and it's hard to believe what, and I don't mean believe him, but think about him being, a quiet, shy person when you know him now. But I too, I was as close to anything, as close as I could be to an introvert without being labeled an introvert. And but I got here, and the same thing with John. I pledged fraternity, and I started to learn. Even though I came from a family of 9 kids, I was the only one in my kid that did not grow up with a mate, so to speak. So I was alone, and I enjoyed it, and I thought that's what I need to be. And I got here to this place, and I saw all these beautiful black people that had something in common with me, but also had a lot of different things about them that I could learn from. And when I pledged to fraternity, that brought me out because I started to engage with people of a similar life, but a very different life. I started to learn from people, uh, not just my fraternity brothers, but the closeness of this campus back in the 90s to us was amazing. While you had people at Memphis State that were fighting each other, fellow black people, fellow black Greeks, the people at LeMoyne, the Greeks at LeMoyne, the non-Greeks at LeMoyne, all took care of each other. And if they saw you doing something wrong, I'm telling you, you got jacked up. You got jacked up. And you got jacked up whether it was a fellow student or whether it was an administrator or a teacher. Even if the president of the college saw you on campus, he would jack you up. So you had accountability, you had responsibility, and people held you accountable for learning from each other and becoming a lot better person. And I'm telling you, I went to the railroad, and I am the only young black person in the railroad at that time, which is intimidating when you walk into a place repeatedly, year after year after year, and there's nobody that looks like you. I always drew back to my lessons here and the comfort. And how I mentioned earlier about pride and ego, that was the space where the pride and ego actually helped me because I drew on the things that I got here, the things that were instilled in me here uh, to make me better and make me overcome that intimidation of being the only black person sitting in that room. Now, because of my learnings and because of LeMoyne and everything that's been instilled in me, I feel like you can walk in the room with anybody and be who you are. And with pride, I tell people I graduated from HBCU in Memphis, Tennessee, LeMoyne-Owen College. And to that group of white folks, I say HBCU and leave them to go figure out what HBCU is.
What I learned from LeMoyne-Owen is the rich heritage and of Black and African American women that they don't teach you in regular high schools, or they don't teach you when you're talking to other people that don't look like you. And as John said, being a real estate professional, when we walk into a lot of these rooms, we're kind of sprinkled in. So they don't think we know. We have to be up on our game a little bit more than them. We have to know a little bit more than them because they're afforded the opportunities that we're not based on the color of their skin. So they think we don't know, and we'll find ourselves teaching them. When I was at LeMoyne-Owen, Professor Salisbury and Attorney Peggy Lee's class, they taught me about being a strong African American woman. I can walk into any room and know who I am and whose I am. So I just, especially being an adult student, it gave me the confidence to actually be okay with being me. Thank
Now we would like to take some questions from the audience. If y'all want to ask any of the panelists questions, you can do so now. Um, can one of y'all come down here and get the mic real quick?
You had already asked all the good questions. I walked in and asked all the good questions. But I can say, what is something that you would tell your child about this HBCU? I know we all said, what did you get from this HBCU? But would you necessarily have your child to follow in your footsteps and come to this HBCU?
you. My son just recently turned 22, and what I told him is he needs to attend an HBCU because if he attends one of the PWIs, they'll tell him who he is. And being an African American young man, he needs to develop and know who he is as a man because they know that a black man is a threat. So I just instill in him, you need to go to a HBCU. There's just no other option. And he understands.
I got two, 17 and 15-year-old, and they know all about LeMoyne. They know all about my love for LeMoyne. I actually joke with them a lot about LeMoyne. But my situation, my kids, I've physically relocated 13 times in my life. Uh, and I got one more. I got two more. One more, I'm going to be going to Kansas City next year, and then after that, I'm retired. I hadn't told you that yet. But my wife and my two daughters have moved 9 times, 8 times, and 7 times respectively, following my career and my dream. Now, their lives have been enhanced by it, but still, think about it. I've got two teenage daughters who moved 8 and 7 times. Because of that, I've told my daughters that now I owe them the opportunity to go wherever they want to and do whatever they want to do, as long as they're being progressive. Can't just go and lollygag. You got to go and be about the business. And unfortunately, that's going to bite me later because my 17-year-old wants to go to California, and the other one wants to go to school on the East Coast. Uh, but they know that I love LeMoyne. They know what LeMoyne means to me. They know that I donate, since they're probably not coming to LeMoyne, I donate some of their college money to LeMoyne as an alumni every year. Uh, and that I'm actively involved as an alumni and just recently became a member of the board. So they're not going to come, but they understand what LeMoyne means to me as well. My wife graduated from LeMoyne, and thank God we didn't know each other when we were here.
Oh.
So, what question did Keela ask? What y'all did after college? So, did you get a little discouraged about not going straight into your major after college? Because I know, like, my major is social work, but I don't know if I want to go straight into that after college. What advice do y'all have about that? Not going straight into your major after
You
college.
know, I'll go first, and I say this as an employer. I got a degree in math. I thought I was going to get an electrical engineering degree, but I didn't have money to go to Christian level. I've learned this as an employer. Unless you are tied to doing something in the field of that degree, to me, an employer, that means that you have discipline and you have capabilities to learn. Most of the time, I could care less what your degree is in. And there are a lot of people out there in the world who are doing exceptionally well and happy doing exceptionally well that are doing nothing in the field that they studied in college. So, I don't want to discourage anyone from being in the field that you're studying in, but don't be discouraged if there's opportunities that will benefit you greatly, not in the field that you're studying. I got a math degree, and I jokingly tell people my math degree taught me how to count my money every 2 weeks when I get paid.
Okay, going back to my high school days, I took a class, a specialized class called Industrial Chemistry, Laboratory Technology. So it was a very science-based program offered in Fraser Treasonville Tech Center. And in this program, they taught you how to run the same apparatus, do the same functions that they do at these big laboratories like Sharon Plow, um, Pfizer, and all that stuff. So I had a natural uh, science, curiosity and background. But literally, I remember headed to LeMoyne. And matter of fact, I almost went to Tuskegee. I had a track scholarship offered at LeMoyne-Owen and Tuskegee. I almost went to Tuskegee, but like Melanie, I had a child young, so I wanted to stay close to home. But I remember coming up on campus, and I had the commercial appeal. It's going to date me. I had the commercial appeal looking at the job sections. So I said, what would pay well and also always have some type of longevity? And that's how I got into business and accounting. No matter what industry you're in, from railroad to beauty, real estate, you're always going to need an accountant. Somebody's going to have to count the books. And then I thought about the security of it. If the company closes down, the accountants are the last one to go. So that's literally how I got into accounting. And I did it for a number of years and did not love it. So I would say to you, go to something that you love earlier, even if it's not paying off. But if you love it, it won't feel like work and it'll always pay off.
What are you passionate about? That's what I said. When you find out what your passion is and understand what it actually is, that's going to be what you're going to love to do. But you got to first understand who you are, what for you to be able to understand what it is what you want to do. So going to school and you may get discouraged with the major that you're taking now, but find your passion, find your gifts. That would help you determine what you want to do and how you want to do it as well. So find your passion within yourself.
I would say listen to your heart and realize that you really can't make a mistake. Right after college, if you do not go into getting your master's degree, it's always time to go back. But listen to your heart. You will know. Pray about it. You will know. But there's no regrets. You make one left turn, God will close the door if it's not meant, and you'll make the next right one. So, like I said, give yourself grace to make mistakes, but don't regret anything. If in your heart you graduate with that social work degree, and you decide I no longer want to do social work, go back to, like you just said, your passion, your heart. Where do you feel? What can you do every day and not feel like you're working? And then find something to fund it. If it's not, financially stable, to get you through life. But just no regrets. Pray about it. Follow your heart. You know more than you think you know.
And let me add to that. Again, I worked in corporate America and accounting for a number of years, and I did not love it. But to Bianca's point, I had a mindset switch where I used corporate America as my investor. I said, well, I know I'm not going to stay in accounting, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the proceeds from my corporate job and turn those into something that I really love, and it's real estate. So while I'm working corporate America, I brought me some, investment properties, and I made sure that the number of properties that I have could sustain whatever my lifestyle, even if I don't work in corporate America. So to Bianca's point, find yourself an investor or be your current employer as an investor. Don't just up and leave. You might not be able to up and leave and say, hey, I'm just going to go out and strike out to Hollywood and do this. You know, just be strategic about it. If you're working at a job that you don't like, plan it out, plan your work, and work your plan to leave it. Just create a plan that includes a current sustainable lifestyle until you can leave.
I feel like I just went blank, but I did. So I would always still like John said, make sure you have a plan. But I think most importantly, we can't overlook the fact that you can find yourself graduating from school in a job and life happens, you know, because you wanted to take that break. Um, Me looking back, if I were to go to get my master's, or back then, I would have went right into it because undergrad is hard. You know, I mean, it's hard. So why not go ahead and finish? If you're thinking about masters, go ahead and finish it. It's already hard undergrad. It's gonna be hard in graduate. So that's behind you. So I will always look at your options, weigh your options, because life can get in the way, and we don't want regrets. So I'll leave that part.
Hello, everyone. Okay, my question is if you have dealt with discrimination on your jobs, how did you overcome it?
You know, said HR.
For me, it is always going to be HR. If you feel, or let's not skip your leader, let's not skip your direct, someone you feel comfortable with, someone you can be confidential with, sharing your concerns. Um, and I guess that person, girl, hopefully that person can give you some advice on how to handle it. But if not, you can always go to HR. Like I always say that because that's what they're there for. Um, don't ever suffer in silence when you're feeling discriminated for any reason, and that's not just with people that don't look like us, but also with people that looks like us. So just making sure you have someone. You go to your direct or HR if you are able to.
And let me add, if you feel like you're being discriminated against, um, document everything. Put it in writing. Put emails. Emails help. Timelines help. Um, I would say, just make sure that you notate everything, time, date, stamp everything, because if it's in corporate America, that's it can be tricky sometimes. I know a lot of us say HR, but a lot of times HR, they're the depending upon the company, they're the gatekeepers to corporate well-being. But to protect yourself, um, yeah, just I would say just document everything, emails, put it in writing. Um, Even your conversations, you may want to follow up per our conversation. Thank you. Make it pleasant. Thank you for the conversation. I will A B C D E F like you said. So that's just my advice.
I go back to one of the first questions too. If you don't know what to do, go back to that mentor, because most of the time that person that's probably your mentor, they've probably dealt with whatever it is that you're dealing with. Always seek advice. I can't say much more than what John and Bianca said, but seek advice. Utilize your mentor. Document. And look, that's a tough thing. That is a tough thing to deal with because when it happens, most of the time in your head, you're weighing, do I do the right thing? Or do I lose my career or my job? And most people do not speak up because I need this job. I can't afford to, it may not happen today, but at some point, I believe in my heart something's going to happen that's going to create a loss for me. And we deal with it and we suffer through it. And we suffer through it to the point to where it impacts us a lot more than we know. So when it first happens, it is tough. I swear to God, it's tough. We have to have some kind of avenue to talk through it with and figure out what our best option is. And we can't stay silent. We cannot stay silent. It, you just can't. It's tough, but you got to say something and say something with your facts. Document it. It's got to be factual, not emotional. If it's emotional, you're going to get blown out of the water. You're going to get discredited. And at some point, you're going to get cycled out, possible. But your facts are your facts are your facts. And that's very important, even in this world that we live in today where uh, you have to be on the up and up, especially us. You have to be on the up and up, and you have to do the right things. And, you know, anybody can take things in a certain way. I just think about the railroad. The railroad is a old white man's industry. Uh, your first name is a four-letter word historically. And about 7 or 8 years ago, I decided never to curse professionally. Shamefully, in my personal life, I curse like I was in the Marines, but professionally, I don't curse. And that's part of the reason. I can sit here and I can say four-letter word to John. Bianca can cost me my job because she got offended by it, and I wasn't even talking to her. You know, just be careful in things that you do. Make sure you protect yourself. Document. Use your mentor or somebody that you trust to get advice from on how to deal with it. But please don't suffer in silence because it's going to impact you and it's going to theoretically drive you to your grave at some point.
I would say working at the U.S. Postal Service, that's a very, very large government uh, corporation. And what I would advise you to do is to email, put it in writing with the timestamp, and make the person aware that you feel like you're being discriminated against. In today's climate, they are listening, but if you don't say anything, you'll just suffer in silence. So I would piggyback off of the one who's spoken and say, put it in writing, tell them how you feel, and be factual, not emotional about it. Put the date, the time, it means a lot, and just let them know, I feel like I'm being discriminated against. More than likely, they'll stop.
And just to add to that, when you're documenting, go back to what really matters to them, the policy. Okay? Share the policy and what your company stands for and how I've been treated, the fact, what happened, the documentation. Always go back to what really matters. Because you care about the policy, but they really care about the policy because that's documentation, that's a representation for their company. So remember what matters to them and what also matters to you.
I'm going to say one more thing. I'll be a little transparent. But Bianca, you said that as if you got experience with that. She's like, go back to the policy. Hey, look, I'm gonna be a little transparent and just so you know that that is real. Okay, I worked for a company for 24 and a half years. Um, did very well, good performance reviews. I got run around multiple times for a vice president's job. 2019 January, I made a decision to leave and separate from the company after 24 years. Uh, After I decided to leave, I also decided to go to one of their competitors and get the job that they never gave me, which was Senior Vice President of Operations. I got sued for a violation of a non-compete. Everything that I'm telling you is public knowledge, so I'm not breaking anything. So I got sued for violation of non-compete agreement. I got pursued for money and a whole lot of things. That was January 2019. Today, I'm still fighting these lawsuits. Uh, so it's real. And a lot of things that saved me, going back to, can't remember who said it, I had a lot of documentation. Those documentations were my performance reviews that rated me as whatever we call it, exceptional or excellent. Those documentations were letters. Uh, those documentations was an email. The last time I got run around that I sent to the chief transportation officer and introduced that the only thing that I can come up with that says I don't have this job is because I'm the black man. So document with facts. Did I wallow in it too long? And I'm going to be transparent. I sat there because I sat in a senior position, doing very well for a long time, making a lot of money for a long time, happy, still trying to make people better tomorrow than they are today. And I rested on my laurels until I realized a slap in the face with the last two times I got run around. Wait a minute, I've got to make a decision here. When I got run around in 2016, I sat there and I said a prayer, and I said, "This is the last time. Next time it happens, either I've got to never say anything else about it, or I've got to make a decision." And when it happened again in August of 2018, I made a decision. And strategically, time and perspective for me personally, January 19, I decided to leave. And they came after me. And they came after me for violation of a non-compete agreement when people that don't look like us, to the tune of 20 plus, left and did the same exact thing, and they never legally pursued any of them. So if you don't think that we're treated differently or not treated differently, there's a at-home example. A young boy from Memphis, Tennessee, Hamilton High School, LeMoyne-Owen College, that's fighting a corporate conglomerate over a racial discrimination case. And I'm in the driver's seat. At least I like to think so. We'll find out. But it's real. So don't wallow in it. Go to somebody that you can trust, not your friend that's not knowledgeable. Somebody that's knowledgeable that can actually factually help you and steer you in the right place. And guess who I went to? My mentor, that guy that I mentioned that got me my job on the railroad. He was the first person I talked to. And through him coaching me and giving me advice, I realized a lot of things that I needed to do.
Thank you, thank you. We are at our end at today's panel discussion. Could everyone please give it up for our wonderful panelists? Y'all stay seated because we have some gifts for you all. Um, Also, if you have any additional questions, you can talk to them out at the end of this um, panel discussion. Um, I just want to say y'all did a great job today. This was a good, informal, um, very understanding panel discussion. And I just really want to thank y'all for being wonderful alumni. And I hope that y'all, impact the school much more. And give back to these wonderful students who wants to change their lives. So I really just want to say thank y'all.
And let me add, Tracy, I've been meaning to get a check. If I get my checkbook in the car, I got a donation of $1,000 to the college and the alumni association.
Thank y'all.